Hey, I've seen this expose by Lynn Goge. She's an investigative journalist, Lynn, I think. Fantastic. She's got a very good understanding of issues, governance, and okay, basically she is a good journalist. So she'll do her homework and like just present, you know, well thought out facts and just present that to her audience. So anyway, at this point she's talking about this national something something. It's an organization. It's actually an NGO that's based in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, sorry, in the Netherlands, that's come, that has been given amazing diplomatic immunity in Kenya. I understand it was gazetted. She says it was gazetted. Of course, Kenyans, again, she says Kenyans do not even bother checking stuff that's gazetted. We just skip over those pages. So things, so I mean, if someone wants to slide something, it will be said it was gazetted. And so the public was notified, but the public is jaded, or we just ignore. So anyway, basically, the complaint being that this particular organization is being given almost diplomatic immunity in this country, and they are now beginning to look like they'll be almost an oversight body to the Ministry of Environment, because environmental matters have become a thing. Actually, they become a thing since I was in campus. But I actually have a degree in environmental studies, planning and management. So yes, so I mean, the West is really pushing this whole environmental agenda and carbon and carbon taxation and carbon trading, etc., which obviously doesn't really work for developing countries because we've hardly even industrialized ourselves. So, like, what taxes are you making us? You're making us carry a weight. We can't even afford it because we need to, to feed our people. And the West has, the West has started just throwing out the whole environmental conversation. Um, Most people feel like it's become something else, become like an idol or something, or it's not as is. That what is being presented is not there's another agenda to what is being presented. So I would like to really get deep into that story, but let me just leave it alone. Just suffice it to say, I did finish that degree and never bothered to. I tried to pursue that career path, but somehow it just never felt right. And I don't know why. It just never ever felt right. Because I guess the devil has his agenda and he leaves anything. So Lynn is so incensed. She's so incensed. She's like, how is this happening in this country? Like, how are we selling out? How are we outsourcing even decision making to foreigners to come onto our land, to come onto our soil and tell us how to run our business, how to run our environment, how to control our environmental degradation? They define it for us and then they determine for us. Do we not have a ministry? So she's asking, who's in charge? Is it the ministry that's in charge, or is it these foreigners who are in charge? Of course, we know the donors have always been in charge. Since when are donors not in charge in this country? Where the money is coming from, those are the people. I'm sorry, again. Those, where the money is coming from, those are the people who are going to call the shots. Where the money is coming from, me, I always say, follow the money. Kwenye pesa inatoka, that's where the decisions are being made. So yeah, this will look like, oh, it's an agenda here. But then there's someone else somewhere. Just there's a puppet master somewhere. Anyway, Lynn is so incensed, and this is my response to Lynn and to many Kenyans. But Lynn, if you ever come across this video, go to Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 5 to 7. The ironies of life. There's another evil I've seen under the sun. Kings and rulers make a grave mistake when they give great authority to foolish people, i.e., less qualified people, and low positions to people of proven worth, to people who are more skilled, more capable. I have even seen servants riding horseback. Servants are riding horseback like princes. And the princes, i.e., the noble people, the talented people, the ones who have the know how, are walking like servants. So that's what's happening in this country. We basically have people. I think I had someone making a comment and saying, you know what? I just think that these guys, they no longer, they don't really know what they're doing. Because I know even in that video, she's complaining about the protocol that was, the royalty came over and, the CEO of this NGO, who is now, I understand, the chancellor or the CEO of Nairobi University. I don't know how a foreigner is the CEO of Nairobi University of all institutions that's a public institution. Sijui hiyo kitu ilifanyika lini. And by the way, how many PhDs does he have? So you're supposed to also be a professor in something to be a chancellor or vice chancellor to a university. So anyway, I understand he's the CEO, so I don't know how that's all working out. So this guy, I don't know how educated he is. He's so educated. By the way, why didn't he go to KU? KU, that's where there's a whole department, there's a whole faculty in environmental studies. Huko ndio angeenda. And just do something in the department and just centralize that whole thing there. But that's who he is at the moment. This tall Dutch man. He's the CEO of Nairobi University. That's amazing, by the way. Like, that's news to me. I've had it on Lynn Gogi's show, and I would like to weigh in and say that's really amazing. I'd like to see his accolades. Amesoma mpaka wapi? Is he a professor in anything, by the way? Because, like, again, foolish people in great places of authority. Is he more qualified than our professors and our university lecturers? And those are the ones who are being given a lower position. So now, and then you are more of an authority over our issues than we ourselves. We learned people. Some of us have degrees in our environmental studies. Now you guys are the ones who know. In fact, I wonder if the cabinet secretary for Ministry of Environment, if she even has a degree in environmental studies. Because may have one. Planning and Management, KU, double major. Second upper class, second, what do you call it? Second class honors, whatever. I managed to get that. I can remember a thing or two with balance. So that's what's going on, Lynn. That's why you're frustrated. That's why you're incensed. That's why you're like, does this even make sense? Because lab data, the CS who's sitting there, I don't know. I'd like to check into her portfolio. Was she in the corridors of KU getting zeros from that Professor Amukoronye, that Nigerian man who would never give you good grades no matter what I said or no matter what I wrote, although I could have done better. So yeah, so that's why if you also don't have qualified people in that ministry, even then they just hand over their power. They're just like, and then there's this thing about white people. Like, I don't see like, oh, the white man. So there's an adoration also. And it's just there. And then now they're running all these events. And I'm like, all these events are costing how much? And who's paying for them? And then we go in there and we're given tea and biscuits and we're given a tag and we feel so important. And someone else is taking all the money. Interesting. So, Lynn, that's what's going on. The technocrats, the people who understand environmental issues in this country and what our priorities would be. By the way, the greatest environmental degrader, the greatest aspect of environmental degradation in this country, my friend, is not industrialization, it is poverty. Poverty will see people falling forests, not so they can take them to a factory, so they can get firewood and farmland to eat. Concentrate our soils with fertilizer so that their yield is higher, so that they can earn better income, higher because of the bulk, to feed their family. So quality out the door. That fertilizer, listen, please, msitukuja kutusomea hapa how you are so educated in environment. Then some of us have a degree in this thing. And by the way, I am not even regurgitating what I learned from my degree. It's also just common sense. that degree plus really what is happening on the ground. Let me tell you something about environmental degradation. Let me tell you something about Nairobi River that is never gonna get clean. That we simply don't have a sewage system that makes sense. And that our urban areas are overpopulated. They're busting at the seams. Because again, we're not distributing our resources properly. So everybody's rushing to the urban centers for income. So again, poverty people are looking for money. They're able to just settle in their shags and earn their income and still be okay. Where they are, everyone is running into the town centers. And we've not been able to keep up with what it requires to sustain those populations in the urban centers. Neither are we willing to regulate urban development. We're very happy to give permits for people to build on riparian land, which is sinking sand. So that's another environmental issue. All that fertilizer just running straight into the rivers and eventually into the ocean, killing the fish. We've moved away from organic farming. Why? We're looking for higher yields. Why? People are looking for money. Why? Because life is expensive. Tell me about carbon monoxide, carbon water, and the ozone layer. Tell me how much of it we're depleting. If there is any amount of it, I can assure you it's more about someone lighting firewood to cook. In Africa, not because of industrialization. And yes, there are pockets, especially in Nairobi, that could do with more regulation. But that's the thing. Who's regulating these people? Who's going to regulate the industrial area? Who's going to regulate this factory that is on the road to Isinya, where there is just smoke? I don't know whether it's a tannery or what it is. There's just smoke arising freely. In the mornings, early in the mornings. Who will regulate them? Because whoever is supposed to regulate them, if they go there and then they're just given some money, they just walk away. Why? The person who's regulating them is hungry. So please, you cannot sort out Kenyans. Please, let's not pretend. Don't sit at high tables and discuss industrialization and I don't know what, and carbon taxes and carbon trading until you feed Kenyans, until you take Kenyans to school, until Kenyans have proper health care, until Kenyans are able to sustain even a simple, basic, decent life. Please don't tell us. We have very beautiful roads. All of them, no drainage. Hata hiyo drainage ikiwekwa, utapata iko na makaratasi manini. You know, those are our issues. Again, poverty or poor mentality. Yeah. Who are the traders there where that place is clogged up like that? It is Wanjiro and Jerry, whatever. How much education have you given them? How much do they understand about taking care of the environment? Kenya nakulaga, even the ones who drive cars, then they just throw their banana peels through the window, and they don't even think about it. Like, what have I just done? They don't even think about it. How much education have we given? Those are our issues. Don't tell us about carbon. Our issues are simply just to keep our places clean and to feed ourselves. Our issues are very simple. Maybe if we solve those problems, then we'll get to a place where we can sit at the same table as Japan, the States, I guess Germany. Yeah, tell us all about your green energy now that you're so industrialized. Yeah, but you contributed to the entire poisoning of the atmosphere world through from as early as the 18th, I don't know when. Sai, you want us to use green energy. Sai, you want us to use windmills. Wait for those windmills to give us enough electricity. Because you are already eating the fruits of your industrialization. So then now we have some guy from a very balanced country coming to run our Ministry of Environment. At least that's what Lynn is talking about. But I would also like to weigh in and say, if that's what's going on, please listen to this video and address the poverty levels in this country. Yeah. Decent sanitation. Those are environmental issues. Yeah. Drainage when it rains. Those are environmental issues. Natural disasters. Those are environmental issues. Don't tell me because of global warming, do what, so Kenyans did. What do we need to do? It is the West that needs to stop doing whatever it's doing to give us a break. So again, who's in authority? And who's on foot? Who's sitting at that table? And who's excluded? Ecclesiastes 10:5-7.